Alright everyone, it seems like we have a new development on this active shooter video game that was the source of a lot of controversy a few weeks ago. Many media outlets in and outside the gaming industry calling for this game's ban from sale. It should be banned. Nobody should be allowed to play it. Nobody should be allowed to buy it. And it was pulled from Steam. It was supposed to be released on Steam, but Valve says it has nothing to do with the content of the game. It has more to do with Acid Software, the developer of the game. I believe they're Russian, and apparently they have a history of abuse and violating their terms of service in other ways that have nothing to do with the content of the game, being a school shooting simulator. But that's where the source of the controversy was. The gaming industry got a lot of flack for allowing this game, and in some critics' eyes, it tarnishes the gaming industry, ruins its reputation, that games like this are being sold. It's just that the whole coverage about that game was just completely absurd. People calling for the ban of the game. People who obviously don't believe in the First Amendment. People who obviously believe in... They just don't believe in freedom. That's ultimately what it is. If you believe that this game should be banned from sale, then you hate freedom. That's just what it is. Jim Sterling, a more prominent figure in the gaming industry, during this story, when it first broke out, when this game was getting a lot of media attention, he kind of jumped on the bandwagon and he was like, yeah, this game should totally be banned from sale because it gives the industry a bad name. And he brought up a whole bunch of points about the ESRB and how back in the 90s, the video game industry was regulated because there was outrage over violent video games. And he's afraid that if we don't take action on games like Active Shooter, then the same thing will happen again, and it will be even worse, and we'll have even more regulation. I feel like because Jim Sterling is from the UK, he feels like regulation is the only way forward. Like, he doesn't believe in actually fighting back against the government because he's used to living in a nanny state. He's from the UK. They control his life. He's used to having the government make decisions for him, that he's advocating for it to happen in other places like the United States, which is supposed to be a beacon for freedom and not having the government tell you what you should fucking do. But of course, Jim Sterling from the UK is used to having a government controlling every life decision that he makes. Would advocate for that. It's not a surprise. But this new development in the story is very interesting. So PayPal is pretty much banning the sale of Active Shooter. Active Shooter is currently being sold on other marketplaces. I'm not sure which ones, but I think, they might be selling it on their own website or some other platform that I'm not sure about. I didn't really look into that aspect of the story too much. But apparently Active Shooter is for sale, even though it's been banned on Steam. They found another way to sell it. Okay. Now PayPal banned Acid Software from getting any money from PayPal accounts. So if you want to buy Active Shooter, I assume they sell it on their website. I don't really know. But assuming that you want to buy the game and you go on their website and you want to use PayPal, you can't. PayPal banned the sale of the game through PayPal. And here's what I have to say about it. It's just kind of ridiculous that these corporations are all of a sudden acting like moral arbiters. Because what PayPal said about this whole situation is that they banned the sale of the game through their service because they have a policy against giving money to products or anything else that promotes violence against people. And that's just completely ridiculous, because wouldn't that literally apply to every video game? Wouldn't that apply to most to most movies that come out? Like, It's just, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, I do not care about this game. I don't want to buy this game. I'm not interested in buying this game. So it doesn't affect me. But like I said, I actually believe in freedom. I don't believe in governments or corporations telling us what we can and can't buy. I just don't. And the fact that there are so many people that do is incredible. Especially the media coverage surrounding this game a few weeks ago. Do you remember a few months ago, though, when Donald Trump, after the Parkland shooting, when people were asking President Trump about what he thinks is the cause of the Parkland shooting and other school shootings, because he was kind of criticized for saying that guns are not the cause of shootings, it's other reasons, and one of those other reasons that he stated was violent video games. And he got a lot of flack from the mainstream media and the video game media. But now, with active shooter, they just proved themselves to be hypocrites, right? Because they were calling out President Trump for making such a ridiculous claim that violent video games can cause school shootings. Meanwhile, they think that this game should be banned because, God forbid, some kid thinks that game is fun and they're going to go out and do a school shooting in real life. You can't make this shit up, people. A few months ago, because Trump said it. Because Trump said it, they went against it. And don't get me wrong. I completely agreed with the media back then. I mean, I didn't need the media to tell me that, to say that violent video games cause shootings and cause, like, real-life violence is ridiculous. But I just love that now that this game is coming out, active shooter, or it already came out, but, you know, a few weeks ago when it was a huge story, oh, now all of a sudden violent video games cause shootings. It's, like, ridiculous. There's no consistency from these media outlets. They have no moral consistency whatsoever. I just think this whole topic is ridiculous, really. Like, how does it affect your life if a game that has a school shooting that simulates a school shooting is for sale? Then don't buy it. It's really that easy. Do not buy it if you find it that repulsive. And most of the people who are criticizing active shooter, most of them weren't even gamers to begin with. I love it when non-gamers try to criticize the gaming industry. They don't know anything about it. We should never take the opinions of outsiders seriously. People from CNN, CBS News, NBC News. Why should we care about what they think? But people like Jim Sterling and other idiots in the gaming industry want to cower down to these people. But they shouldn't control what goes on in our industry. They have no say whatsoever. They just saw a story and ran with it. They don't know a damn thing about the video game industry, so why should we take their opinions on it seriously? We shouldn't. And with these big corporations like PayPal, I tell this a lot in my politics channel, but I say this a lot. What scares me just as much as the government restricting freedom is big corporations also restricting freedom. And I personally do not believe that companies like Twitter and Facebook should be censoring people for their political viewpoints. And I think that what should be done about that is corporations that want to censor people and violate the First Amendment rights of people and, say, oh, they're private corporations, they should be allowed to do whatever they want. But when a corporation like Facebook and Twitter are so huge that they rival that of, like, many third world governments combined, then yeah, they should be regulated, man. They shouldn't be allowed to violate our First Amendment rights when they almost control more aspects of our lives than the government in some cases. Like, people are on Facebook and Twitter every single day. You know what I mean? So they have a big influence on our lives. And PayPal, that's how people pay for stuff. And they shouldn't be making moral decisions. They should be completely neutral. As long as it's not illegal, then they really shouldn't restrict commerce. That's how I feel about these corporations trying to dictate what people can and can't buy, trying to dictate what's hate speech and all this other crap. I think they need to be put to task. Might be unpopular. It's weird how we have these people who go out and say, oh yeah, they're private corporations, they should be able to do whatever they want. But you know, these are mostly left-wing people. If they were getting censored, they'd be saying a completely different thing. So I think this is just ridiculous. This whole conversation is ridiculous. And yeah, that's about it. I think I pretty much said everything that was on my mind. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about active shooter and PayPal banning the sale of the game. You pretty much not, if you have a PayPal account and you want to buy the game, you can't buy it through PayPal. You're gonna have to find some other way. Can you imagine if all the credit card companies, or all the banks rather, if all the banks all come out together and don't allow you to buy a game through their credit card? It's just like, that would be funny. Over this little indie game that ultimately, if it didn't get any coverage whatsoever, no one would even have heard about it. But they're creating some kind of Streisand effect where they're covering this game to death, and you're going to have more people want to buy it. And the talk about banning the game, ooh, this game's going to be banned or potentially banned from sale. Let me check this game out. You're causing more harm than good is pretty much what I'm trying to say. The best thing to do is just not give it coverage at all. You put a little shitty indie game into the main spotlight. Like, you really think you're causing more good than harm in that case? If you really don't believe that this game should be out there, if you really don't believe that people should be playing this game, you're really hurting your cause. But that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And that's about it.